You're watching ESPN's Tip-Off Marathon, presented by Constant Contact.
And welcome to the start of the ESPN Tip-Off Marathon. Sit back, relax, and enjoy for the next 31 hours. We've got 20 games for you from around the country, including both defending national champions, UConn tonight and Duke tomorrow night, as the Huskies visit Ohio State and begin a quest for a fourth consecutive national championship. I'm Beth Mullins, along with Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White. Out on the floor tonight, Stephanie, 3 of the 5 preseason first-team All-Americans.
Well, Breanna Stewart and Mariah Jefferson could be the 1-2 picks in the WNBA draft as well. Stewart has been the best player in the country since she stepped foot on campus, and Mariah Jefferson had a breakout year last year as a junior, looking to build off of that. And for the Buckeyes, it's Kelsey Mitchell. She was outstanding as a freshman, the first freshman to lead the NCAA in scoring at nearly 25 a game, a dynamic playmaker, and she's given the city of Columbus a buzz.
A lot of talk about the top-ranked team in the country coming to town tonight to test this young group of Buckeyes, as the Huskies arrive winners of 37 games in a row, including those 6 games in last year's NCAA tournament en route to another title, the 10th in school history. 4 of the starters return for the Huskies, joined by Gabby Williams, who, oh, by the way, this afternoon at shoot-around, Gino Auriemma told us she may be the most athletic player he's ever had at Connecticut. And on the other side for Ohio State, Mitchell teams up with Amarist Alston in the backcourt. They were the top-scoring tandem on the perimeter in the country a year ago. They hope that Shayla Cooper can emerge throughout the season as their number 3 scorer.
Well, Ohio State is certainly going to have someone else put the ball in the hole consistently, whether it be Cooper, whether it be Alexa Hart, or by committee, but they've got to give those two a little bit of help.
It is the season opener for Connecticut, and for the Buckeyes of Ohio State, they've already lost a game to the second-ranked team in the nation, South Carolina, on the road, and now playing against Gino Auriemma's top-rated Huskies. 3 decades in stores, and UConn has won 10 of the last 20 national championships. But even this is a little new for Gino. He's never won 4 in a row. It has never happened in women's college basketball. His counterpart is Kevin McGuff, now in his 3rd season back in Ohio. He's a Hamilton, Ohio native. Spent 9 years at Xavier and then a couple seasons at Washington, and is already well on his way to restoring Ohio State as a team to be reckoned with come NCAA tournament time. Breanna Stewart, your Wade Trophy winner, the National Player of the Year last season, and most outstanding performer at the last 3 Final Fours, wins the tip, but it goes to the Buckeyes in all white, Connecticut in all blue. And Ohio State will push the pace as we open up this first quarter of play. And the other way, the lane for Gabby Williams. A lot of new rules will get you caught up in women's college basketball, including the switch from 2 halves to 4 10-minute quarters.
Well, Connecticut coming back off of that made shot in a 3-2 zone. One of the concerns for Connecticut defensively is really containing the dribble drive, protecting the paint.
Baseline jumper is off the mark from Alexa Hart. The rebound to Breanna Stewart. And here is one of the top point guards in the country, Mariah Jefferson. And that pass swatted near the rim, and some keys tonight.
Yeah, the keys for Connecticut, they have to be able to defend the dribble drive. And Gino Auriemma said he's never seen anything like this Ohio State team on the offensive end and win the battle in the paint. They have the advantage in terms of size, but motion, attacking the paint off of the dribble, getting the ball inside, offensive rebound putbacks.
Here is Mitchell behind the legs, stepping back, short on the shot. She dropped 36 on South Carolina a few nights ago. Spinning in the lane is Kia Nurse, and she's fouled on the drive. How about some keys for these Buckeyes to hang with Connecticut?
Well, Ohio State has to find a consistent 3rd scorer. Somebody has to help Mitchell and Austin. They cannot continue to shoulder the load alone. And they have to rebound the basketball. One of the weaknesses of this Ohio State team has been rebounding, and they were exposed on that end of the floor Friday night at South Carolina.
first free throw rattles in and out for Kia Nurse, the 6-foot sophomore out of Hamilton, Ontario, who starred with the Canadian national team over the summer, and that included a win in the gold medal game over the United States. Canada has now qualified for the Olympics as well. On the run, Stewart with the rejection as Hart tried to go up for the lay-in. Off the ball fake, the pull-up mid-range, Brianna Stewart.
And Kevin McGuff talked about we can't fall behind 10-0 because that just fuels what UConn does so well. We have to be able to match their runs.
Taken away by Williams, and the kick out. Mariah Jefferson looking for 3.
That's already 2 steals by Gabby Williams. You see her activity level on the defensive end of the floor. Active hands, active feet.
Alston had it jarred loose, and Connecticut comes up with another turnover, and the quick counter. Nurse with the lay-in. And it is 7-0, and the Buckeyes have to burn a timeout. Gino Auriemma told us his team, as good as they were defensively a year ago, may even be better this season.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Constant Contact, helping small businesses and nonprofits become marketers.
How about the lineup we've got coming your way tomorrow night as the tip-off marathon continues? Kentucky and Duke at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN. Then a little bit later over on ESPN2 at 9 o'clock, it's Maryland and Georgetown. And also in that window coming up at 10 Eastern, back on ESPN for Kansas and Michigan State. So we open up the tip-off marathon with the defending champs on the women's side. We'll close things down tomorrow night with the Duke men. Beth Mowens along with Stephanie White. And a big night tomorrow of hoops, and our first look at the 3-time defending champs on the women's side.
Well, I think Connecticut just looks so good on the defensive end. Very active already, changing up defenses, going to the 3-2, bringing a little bit of pressure right here, containing the driving lanes. And you can see by the numbers, there's going to be a lot of hoops coming your way.
31 straight hours coming up later tonight. We'll look at Virginia, the 2-time defending ACC regular season champs on the men's side, as well as that stellar LSU freshman Ben Simmons coming up at 9 o'clock on ESPNU. 6 possessions for Ohio State, 0 for 3 with the 3 turnovers. Against this Connecticut man-to-man D. Deep shot no good from Mitchell. Offensive rebound. Shayla Cooper's going to get a couple chances, and she'll knock one down. Really big for her to get going. She was just 2 for 17 in the South Carolina loss.
Well, important for Ohio State against this zone to not necessarily settle for long jump shots. You can penetrate the gaps of the zone, not just with the dribble drive, but with penetrating passes as well. And if that's on Mitchell, that's 2. What a drive right here by Nurse. Just gets into the defender, creates contact, and able to finish.
And that is indeed 2 personal fouls on Kelsey Mitchell, the top scorer in the nation last year, and she will have to depart early.
It's one of the best ways to defend Kelsey Mitchell. Get her on the bench in foul trouble, attack her early, and they went at her both possessions down the floor.
That's a big blow right there for Ohio State. Connecticut will counter with some 3-quarter court pressure. Kiana Holland, number 12, is into the ballgame now for the Buckeyes, and Cooper elevates and hits.
And that drive right there is going to be critical. If Ohio State puts somebody in that position that can attack the rim, attack, draw defenders, kick out to open shooters.
10 for Connecticut, 3 minutes gone in the first quarter as we move this year from halves to quarters in women's college basketball. Brianna Stewart, the Wade Trophy winner, rebounds her own miss, and we'll head to the free throw line.
And what a tremendous challenge for Shayla Cooper. One-on-one defense on the block. If you get Brianna Stewart to miss the first shot, you must make contact. Ohio State has to be more disciplined on the defensive end of the floor, and especially when it comes to boxing out.
3 team fouls for Ohio State. We will start shooting free throws the 5th foul each quarter, and there are no 1-and-1s anymore in women's hoops. They will all be 2-shot fouls, and you'll reset back down to 0 in terms of team fouls each quarter. As Brianna Stewart picks up a couple. Cooper, boy, she's been big on the glass early. And cleared by Gabby Williams. Jefferson trying to break out. Stewart, Kia Nurse, corner. Won't go, and then Jefferson gets the steal. That one won't drop. Williams finally lays it in. Multiple opportunities for Connecticut.
Goal line, Gabby Williams.
Double team coming, and a reach-in foul is going to be called as Alston was able to split the defenders.
Amherst Alston has to be careful about dribbling into the trap on the sideline. You want to keep the ball away from those trapped areas. Get it reversed, moving to the other side.
That'll be the first foul on Gabby Williams. Connecticut now showing a little 2-3 zone on the inbound.
Connecticut continuing to play this zone, really forcing Ohio State to pass around the perimeter. Ohio State not looking to attack those gaps.
Under 10 on the shot clock. Kiana Holland fouled on the jumper, and that will be the second foul on Gabby Williams.
And Gabby Williams has been a difference maker already in this ball game. Her activity level on the defensive end, attacking the basket and attacking in transition, and that time just contesting the shot, jumping into the shooter.
2 shots. So 2 shots for Kiana Holland, who didn't play last year with a knee injury after transferring from Duke. And Gabby Williams will depart the game. And our first look at the freshman Katie Lou Samuelson, the National Player of the Year in high school last season. 6'3" out of Huntington Beach, California. Number 33 in blue. Tuck to Nurse, trying to get it down low. Stewart, good vision to kick out. Samuelson off the mark. They hope that eventually she will be the 3-point threat that Helena Mosqueda-Lewis was for the last 4 years. The kick out, Cooper gets the roll for 3.
Those are the drives that Ohio State has to look for. The drives to get the pinch in the zone and kick it out for the open threes. Get the ball moving side to side. Only had 3 assists in the ballgame with South Carolina, something Kevin McGuff has talked about.
Tuck misses with the left, and I think that's going to be an over-the-back foul on Brianna Stewart. That will be her first. So after a shaky start for the Buckeyes, settling down a little bit.
Well, look at how many players Amherst Alston draws. 3 blue jerseys converge on her, attacking the paint. She finds a wide-open shooter in the corner. And Cooper, who you mentioned struggled scoring the basketball in that South Carolina game, much more active on the offensive end here tonight.
And they're doing this right now without Kelsey Mitchell, who picked up 2 quick fouls, the preseason All-American. Alston drops it off for Hart inside. And how about this for the Buckeyes? A nice response to the adversity.
And this is where Ohio State's going to have to communicate. A little bit of a mismatch in terms of defense. Connecticut has 3 long players on the floor looking for opportunities to exploit some mismatches.
7 unanswered points for the Buckeyes. And an opportunity to add to it. Cooper goes to the right hand. It's a 9-0 Buckeye run in a 1-point game.
And Ohio State showing a little 3/4 court pressure as well, trying to slow the ball down. Kevin McGuff was really high on Shayla Cooper. He said she didn't play as well as we would have liked against South Carolina. But early in the year, she's been one of their best players, and they needed her to play like it, and she's responded.
They've been down by as many as 10, and a chance for the lead. Alston quick to pull the trigger there.
Mariah Jefferson just directing traffic, sensing the change in momentum, understands it's time to get some execution and really directing her team.
Jefferson slices to the rim and scores.
And the left-handed finish.
Such a key cog for them in their run to the championship a year ago as Cooper rattles another one in and out.
Check.
He's feeling it. Jefferson had it jarred loose by Kraft. Cooper to Holland for three.
Well, we're going to have great pace in this ball game. Both of these teams like to push the ball, but Ohio State wants to get a lot of possessions. They're going to let it fly.
Backdoor to Samuelson for the lay-in, and the first points of her career. At a modern-day high school in Southern California. The youngest of three sisters, the other two at Stanford. Baseline J is good from Alexa Hart. 6'3" sophomore from right here in Columbus. And a foul on the shot. End-to-end action.
Well, Connecticut does such a good job of reading the defense, and you can see the play. Katie Lou Samuelson setting up her defender in the backdoor cut, and Ohio State, terrific ball movement. I'm not so sure we saw one possession of this type of ball movement against South Carolina. The dribble punch, finding the open shooter, making the extra pass, and then making the defense pay for the rotation. Really good execution by Ohio State.
Substitution here, Michaela Waterman comes on for Shayla Cooper. Alexa Hart, by the way, will stay in the game after picking up her second foul. So 2 Buckeye starters with 2 fouls and 1 for Connecticut. Gabby Williams. As you take a look at Kelsey Mitchell, she had to leave early.
Well, Connecticut continuing to stay in this half-court trap back into the 3-2 zone. Activity level, Mariah Jefferson getting in the passing lane. Ohio State just too soft with those passes.
The senior out of Glen Heights, Texas. She told us today she needs to be a coach on the floor for this team. She and Morgan Tuck, the redshirt junior, and Stewart all came in together trying to win an unprecedented 4th national championship. Nurse hard off the back iron. Nice touch by Connecticut. Final minute and a half of this first quarter. Kelsey Mitchell will return to the lineup now for Ohio State and play with a couple of fouls. Kalpana Beach is also checked into the lineup, and a substitution for Connecticut as well. And it's Nafisa Collier, the freshman out of O'Fallon, Missouri. 2-time prep player of the year in that state. See if they can get Mitchell going here. Splits a couple of defenders, short on the pull-up. Well, this week on NBA Wednesday, presented by State Farm, we've got the Pelicans taking on OKC. Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook at 8 Eastern, and then Derrick Rose and the Bulls taking on Eric Bledsoe and the Suns. Coverage will begin with NBA Countdown at 7:30, and the crew will be joined by Tracy McGrady. Both games also on Watch ESPN. 22-15, number 1 UConn with the lead here. 1:07 to go in the first quarter. Beth Mullins along with Stephanie White. Connecticut has been up by as many as 10 here in the first half. So the Buckeyes, they take a punch and they keep this big home crowd in it. And a big night in Columbus. I think they're going to get the Huskies for a 3-second violation. Ohio State able to hang around in this game despite the fact that their dynamic duo of Mitchell and Alston have been shut out so far.
Well, if you're Kevin McGuff, you feel pretty good about that fact, but Ohio State's just not doing a good job of taking care of the basketball. And you can see the numbers right there, 59 combined against South Carolina, 0 tonight. They were the leading backcourt scorers in the country last season as a tandem. I'm not sure there was a better 1-2 punch in the country last year than those two, and not able to get on track tonight.
Averaged 45 points per game a year ago.
It seems like this zone from Connecticut is really throwing Ohio State for a loop. They weren't really expecting a zone, expecting man-to-man, and not quite sure how to handle it. Something that Kevin McGuff will have to address at the end of the quarter.
Jefferson got the layup and then almost got the steal. It's been a well-balanced attack for Connecticut, led by Nurse with 8 points and Jefferson with 6.
I think that's one of the most incredible things about Connecticut. In the last season, all 5 starters had over 100 assists. The way that the team moves the basketball, #1 in the country in efficiency, #1 in scoring, #1 in assists, and there's a reason they share the basketball. Nobody cares who gets the credit. Everybody just wants to win.
And they're going to pick up another steal as well as the quarter comes to a close on a 6-0 run for Connecticut to bump the lead back up to 24-15 as we get the tip-off marathon underway here in Columbus. The start of 20 games over the next 31 hours on the ESPN networks.
This is the best player in the country.
He can't miss. Kid is absolutely on fire. Over the top and the block. She's doing it all right now.
Brianna Stewart, how she plays can determine whether or not UConn is a national championship caliber team.
Now the 6'4" senior out of North Syracuse, New York, may go down as one of the all-time greats. She's already well on her way and now looking to cap off a career with a 4th national championship along with her classmates. Has never happened in men's or women's college basketball history.
It was interesting talking to Gino about her. He said she's much more assertive this year. And he said if she had Diana Taurasi or Maya Moore's personality, she'd be the best player to ever play this game. She's much more reserved, but she still finds a way to make plays when her team needs it.
She told us today her goal this season is to dominate. Not just win, but dominate and score at will. She comes up short on that little baby hook. Kelsey Mitchell. She and Alston were scoreless in that first quarter. And there's Stewart coming over to help out. One All-American blocking the shot of another.
Well, this is just a really good job, help defense of being there by Brianna Stewart. But the spacing for Ohio State not good right now. Trying to attack too low on the wing. There's 3 or 4 players right in the same area. And there's Cooper continuing to go to work.
She has put that South Carolina game in her rearview mirror. Was not a good shooting night for her. Had 8 turnovers, but has come out very aggressive here in the first couple of quarters. Stewart. UConn does not have a 3-pointer yet in the game. They're now 0 for 6. So Brianna will try and work in the lane instead. The kick out, short corner is good. And the first basket for Nafisa Collier.
What a great play by Stewart. Patience on the block, sees the double team coming, finding her open teammate. And there's Mitchell finally able to get something going to the rim.
It's going to be the first foul on Collier. Mitchell, who hasn't made a shot from the field, will now try and get a couple points at the free throw line. Once again, 5 personal fouls per quarter is when we start shooting free throws. They're all 2-shot fouls, and then they reset. So we're back down to 0, and now 1 for Connecticut here in the second quarter.
In for UConn, Morgan Tuck.
Those are the 2 big games there tomorrow night from Chicago, Kentucky Duke, and Kansas, Michigan State at the tail end of this tip-off marathon. As Mitchell gets that second one to go. Brianna Stewart not on the floor right now for Connecticut. This is Kia Nurse. She's been their leading scorer thus far. With contact, and it won't go, but she draws the foul. It's going to be the first on Cooper.
Well, you can really see the growth from Kia Nurse from last season to this season. Her experience this summer in the Pan Am Games, in the FIBA Americas, coming back a much more confident player. And Brianna Stewart was talking about Kia Nurse, saying that You know what? She's an X factor. She has so much more confidence this year, much more self-assured, playing hard, playing tough. Competing was never an issue. Now she believes in her skill set, and she's continuing to make plays for Connecticut.
And it all starts at home. She's got a brother, Darnell, who plays in the NHL for the Edmonton Oilers. Her Aunt Roxy, who happens to be married to Donovan McNabb, was a terrific guard during her playing days at Syracuse. He really blossomed over the summer with the Canadian team. This is Nurse inside to Morgan Tuck. 5 on the shot clock. Spins to her right and uses the window.
Goal line, Morgan Tuck.
Each time Ohio State has given Connecticut multiple opportunities to score the basketball, Connecticut has taken advantage. You have to play efficient basketball for 40 minutes against Connecticut. They make you pay.
This is the largest lead of the night now for the Huskies. On the run, and the lay-in is good for Mariah Jefferson. Here's the other issue, too, for coaches now, Stephanie. You have 1 fewer timeout this year, as it's another steal and a lay-in. 1 fewer timeout to use, so you really got to be careful with how you use those timeouts, but no choice here for Kevin.
Absolutely, had to take it right now.
33-18, Connecticut has quieted the crowd here in Columbus, doing it with their D.
With Rebecca Lobo, I'm Chris Hassel back in the studio. Connecticut with a 15-point lead late in the second quarter. Your first impression of the 3-time defending champs?
They look great defensively. It's a team that plays primarily man-to-man. They've played zone this entire first half. It's confused Ohio State a little bit, and holding their backcourt without a field goal is really impressive.
We'll get Rebecca's top 5 on the watch list for that Wade watch, plus a convo with Gino. That's coming up. Land Rover at the half.
Thank you very much, Chris and Rebecca. And as Lobo referenced, Mitchell and Alston 0 for 7 combined from the floor for their guards.
When Connecticut comes out of that timeout in man-to-man, continuing to change up the defense, primarily in zone early in this ball game, and now giving them a little man look.
You're watching hour number 1 of ESPN's Tip-Off Marathon, presented by Constant Contact. Beth Mowens, along with Stephanie White, the head coach of the Indiana Fever, who made it all the way to the WNBA Finals this summer. Morgan Tuck, and there is the first 3 of the ball game for Connecticut after 6 straight misses.
Well, so impressive, the patience and the poise offensively for Connecticut. Brianna Stewart recognizing the mismatch, putting it inside. It wasn't there. The ball movement, and Tuck just silky smooth from the 3.
10-0 run now for Connecticut. Alston will try and answer.
There just doesn't seem to be a lot of urgency from Ohio State right now. Really lax with the ball on the defensive end as well. And Gabby Williams, she has been so impressive. Her activity level, her skill set. Mariah Jefferson talked about Williams, said as soon as the season was over, she was in the gym working on her game, and you can tell.
She's been hampered by injuries throughout the course of her high school career, and this past summer was really the first time in a long time she's 100% out of Sparks, Nevada. Making her debut in the starting lineup here is the sophomore tonight. As if Connecticut needed another weapon in their starting lineup, it appears now that they have one at every position again, and there is weapon number 1, Brianna Stewart.
Well, taking advantage of the mismatch. You know she can get the ball to Stewart inside, a great flash and pass, and finishing with contact.
Shayla Cooper.
That foul is on Michaela Waterman, her first. Stewart and Tuck and Jefferson, they're the ones that want to set the tone. They have really embraced the opportunity to make history this year with that 4th straight title. Even new ground for the Connecticut program. When you think they've accomplished it all, even Gino has never won 4 in a row, so it's a little bit of a different feel. As Alston gets the lay-in. That ends a 17-0 run for the Huskies. Jefferson, 12 points on 6 layups tonight.
Well, yesterday in practice, Ohio State worked on that specific play, and Patrick Klein, the assistant coach, said Mariah Jefferson loves to keep the ball, fake the handoff, and she did just that. She's so fast.
Kelsey Mitchell missed it. She's now 0 for 6 as Nurse walks with it. Now, this current Connecticut team on a three-peat. They also won it during the Diana Taurasi era from 02 to 04. Tennessee and Shamiqua Holzcall back in your playing days. And then in the 70s in the AIAW, both Immaculata and Delta State each won 3 in a row.
I love the fact that they're talking about it. And that it's been a goal, and they're talking about it. They're not shying away from it, yet they understand what it takes to get there. They're not looking too far ahead. They're focusing on the day-to-day. And Mariah Jefferson, in our conversations, multiple times mentioned it's how we practice every day that will position us to do this.
She also said, yeah, we've got to answer questions from the media everywhere we go, but for us, our day-to-day, we're so busy focused on winning a game that we're not really too worried about the bigger picture at this point. And that's the second foul on Michaela Waterman. Third team foul of the quarter on the Buckeyes. Williams' shot won't go, and it's Tuck that tracks it down.
There has to be a greater sense of urgency to put a body on somebody, to box out on the defensive end of the floor. It was a weakness for Ohio State against South Carolina. And defensively, Kevin McGuff said we're not as far along as we need to be, but rebounding is about effort. It's about discipline.
Jefferson with the triple.
Jefferson.
They are plus 14 now on the glass, are the Huskies.
Well, Ohio State getting into where everybody's trying to do it on their own, not working the ball, not forcing the defense to work through an entire possession, just quick shots. And quick shots can be as bad as turnovers.
Boy, after missing their first 6 triples, Connecticut heating up from downtown. That's the 3 from Kia Nurse. They've made 3 in a row. Alston on the drive and rolls around and out.
One shot. That's all they're getting. One shot. Connecticut cleaning up on the glass.
Jefferson drops it off for the Stewart trail 3. Alston and Mitchell are now 1 for 13 here in the first half. And the bump by Stewart, the foul down low. Well, as we start out the tip-off marathon, we will lead up to the State Farm Champions Classic tomorrow night. 3 of the top 5 teams in the country, Kentucky, Duke, and then Kansas, Michigan State. Coverage begins Tuesday at 7 at the United Center in Chicago, also on the Watch ESPN app. In between those 2 games, the reveal of the college football playoff rankings. Amongst those that'll be in attendance in Chicago for that show, Joey Galloway, the former Buckeye great and newly minted Hall of Famer. He's in the house tonight. We're hoping maybe to talk to Joey about the playoff rankings coming up in the second half as Kiana Holland drops it down. That foul, by the way, was the second on Brianna Stewart. Ohio State, they took the first punch and came back, and then the second blow has been much more severe.
Ohio State changing it up, going to a little 3-2 zone themselves, and Kevin McGuff said they haven't worked on much zone, but they're pulling out if they need to. Doing something to try to change momentum, but you got to be able to score on this end of the floor as well.
The lob inside, Lisa Blair misses the bunny a couple times. A third opportunity won't go. Bothered by Collier on the shot. They are shooting, to your point, just 26% here in the first half, to 54% for the Huskies.
This is a team that wants to play fast. They want to get quick shots, but you got to get quick shots and good shots. And when you get shots around the rim like Lisa Blair just did, you got to be able to finish.
Blair gets that one to go.
Lisa Blair.
Now Ohio State in this zone looking to extend, but at the same time, it's so hard to rebound out of the zone. Have to find a way to get the board. But right now, creating a couple of turnovers.
Final minute of the second quarter here in the first half. Pull up, Cooper. They've had a few of those around and outs. Tuck on the free throw line. And now Holland will push. Cooper, tough shot.
And that's one of those where she's got to drive and kick it. You got to drive and draw the defense, and then you have to find your open teammate. Don't try to make something out of nothing.
Gino will use that timeout that he can't take with him into the second half. 22 seconds to go here in the first half. And we welcome you back to Value City Arena here in Columbus, Ohio. The Ohio State Buckeyes, they've already played number 2 South Carolina, lost on the road, and now back home to face the number 1 team in the country. And it's been an impressive first half for Connecticut. Final seconds of the quarter. Stewart, the pick and the roll. And she's fouled by Cooper.
That was a take your pick. She got a couple of fouls before she got the shot up. Now, I think what's been most impressive so far about Connecticut is just their defensive energy. And Gino mentioned it to us, we could be better defensively because of their versatility. Yeah. They don't have the shot blocking that they had with Kia Stokes last season, but they have versatility. They can switch a lot of screens. Multiple players can guard different positions, so they can do a lot more things on the defensive end of the floor.
A scary thought for opponents.
Yeah.
7 points, 7 boards for Stewart. Connecticut putting up 50 here in the first half. Buckeyes will try and beat the buzzer. Holland gets it up. And it won't go. Connecticut closing on a 24-6 run to open this game up. Let's head now to the studio for our Land Rover halftime report.
And welcome in. It is the Land Rover halftime report, kicking off the tip-off marathon here on the ESPN family of networks with Rebecca Lobo. I'm Chris Hassel. We've been waiting to see UConn. Pretty much everybody else had played at least one game. That first half was incredible, and it wasn't Brianna Stewart mostly.
Well, Brianna Stewart played well, but Mariah Jefferson, to me, was the best player on the floor in the first half of the game. I wanted to see Kelsey Mitchell, see her prowess as scoring point guard. It was Mariah Jefferson who did that for Connecticut. She's a senior. She's ready to lead, ready to be consistent, give her team what they need. She's one of the quickest players in the country on both ends of the floor. A terrific defender. She can get out in the open floor, played with poise, made shots, got it done on the defensive end, got to the glass as well. 3 rebounds, 3 assists in that first half. Mariah Jefferson knows as a senior, as a leader, she needs to set the tone for this team, and she did it in those first 20 minutes.
And I know they're thinking team goals and 4 straight, but she's got to be thinking Wade watch, huh?
Yeah, without question. You look at Connecticut, and of course the first player that comes to mind is Brianna Stewart. But Mariah Jefferson, to me, is the second best player in the country, right behind her teammate, Brianna Stewart. Why? Because she can do this. She uses her speed, can get by almost anybody. It doesn't matter that she's small. She knows her strengths. Great handle, fantastic in the open floor. We mentioned an outstanding defender as well. And then you have her teammate, Brianna Stewart, the toughest matchup in women's college basketball. At 6'4", can hit the 3-point shot. Great inside, terrific defender with those long arms, block shots. She is ready to take it yet again to another level. And for Ohio State, we mentioned Kelsey Mitchell. You have not seen in this first half against Connecticut what this young lady can do. She's an amazing scorer, led the nation in points per game a year ago, can create her own shot, very good off the dribble. She's explosive. Connecticut's made her quiet in this first half. One Mitchell to another. This one, Tiffany Mitchell from South Carolina. The senior is their leader now. She hit big shot after big shot in the NCAA tournament a season ago to get them to the Final Four. Great three-point shooter, can get inside and score as well. And for Baylor, you have Nina Davis, the junior, undersized, but she finds a way to get it done. Runs the floor extremely well for a big player. Finishes inside, a great rebounder, the Big 12 Player of the Year a season ago. She will once again lead the Baylor Lady Bears.
Baylor's had a lot of them. 3 of the last 4 years, it has been a Baylor Lady Bear to win the Wade Trophy. When we come back, going to sit down with Gino Auriemma. It was a discussion before this game on an incredible season, an incredible opportunity to win a 4th straight national championship. That's coming up.
This halftime report is presented by Land Rover. Above and beyond. Welcome to the Land Rover halftime report.
Chicago, my town, where past champions will clash. And future champions will be decided. The Champions Classic and College Football Playoff Top 25, all live from Chicago Tuesday on ESPN.
Yeah, it's part of our tip-off marathon schedule, but tonight, look at all the games we have for you on ESPN Networks. Virginia and George Washington coming up next here on ESPN2. Later in the night, all the way down at 11:30 p.m., Baylor and Oregon, but we go all through the night. 31 straight hours. With Rebecca Lobo, I'm Chris Hassel. This is the Land Rover Halftime Report. Florida Gators and Florida State Seminoles. Ronnie Williams with the steal. Rebecca, Florida State, the favorite in this one for sure, but Florida doing a good job hanging around early. Letitia Williams, though. Letitia Romero, rather, with the steal and bucket and a 10-point lead for Florida State. Now, UConn plays Florida State about a month from now, December the 11th in Connecticut. Gino Auriemma has done so many things in women's college basketball and in sports in particular. Never before, though, has he won 4 straight. Nobody's done it. A chance to do that this season with the UConn Huskies. He sat down with Doris Burke.
You are on the brink. You have another chance to four-peat, and you have a chance to do it with some special players. So, one, how do you manage the fact that you can do something no college team has ever done?
I think Stewie, Mariah, and Tuck are well aware that even on the men's side, no one's won 4 national championships because even when UCLA did it, the freshmen couldn't play. I got to manage how bad they want it so that they don't overdo it. You can't get away from it. This is a chance for history to happen, and you don't get many opportunities at that.
So Brianna seems to have saved her best moments for the later moments in the season, but she's progressed. Her final year will be a success in your mind if what?
Well, according to her, and she said this coming out, it'll be a success if we win the national championship, and whether she's National Player of the Year or not, or whether she's Final Four MVP or not, I don't think any of that stuff matters. I think if we don't win the national championship this year, and it's no guarantee, in her mind, then this season will not be a success.
There's a point in Mariah Jefferson's career where you were unsure of what you had, I think. What's the most satisfying part of the growth you've seen from her?
The growth from Mariah has been how to use her speed to just absolutely destroy the other team's ability at keeping their pace. She's going to make them play at our pace.
Right.
And then being able to just walk it back and just go, okay, I'll decide when we're going fast, not you.
I think we knew from the first time you saw Kia Nurse the competitive spirit, the soul that's inside that kid. When you watched her with Canada in the summer, what impressed you?
The first time she went right at Mariah and they started jawing back and forth at each other, I said, you know what? This is not the same player that came to Connecticut as a freshman. Her intensity level and her unbelievable desire to be good reminds me of Maya.
Wow. We can't wait to watch.
Off to a great start, a 50-24 lead at the half. Rebecca, it's been a couple decades since you played for Gino. You went to practice, though, a couple of days ago. What did you see when you were there?
Well, what struck me when I watched practice, I was there last Thursday, was how much Coach Auriemma really likes this team. You know, he's on them all the time. That's the way he coaches, but he wasn't raising his voice a lot. He wasn't yelling a lot. He was talking. He was instructing. You can do that when you have great leaders like Brianna Stewart and Mariah Jefferson, but there's a calm about him when he's been around certain teams, like when he had Tina Charles and Maya Moore. There's a little bit different vibe to him, and I got that same feeling when I was watching him. This is a team he really, really likes.
It's been almost a year since their last loss. It was the tip-off last season at Stanford 364 days ago. Doesn't look like they're losing tonight. This has been the Land Rover Halftime Report. With Rebecca Lobo, I'm Chris Hassel. Second half coming up. Mariah Jefferson, 15 points already in this one for UConn.
This halftime report is presented by Land Rover. Above and beyond. You are watching ESPN's Tip-Off Marathon, presented by Constant Contact.
Welcome back to the opener of our Tip-Off Marathon, presented by Constant Contact. The top-ranked UConn Huskies, the three-time defending champs and winners of 37 games in a row, looking very strong through the first 2 quarters of play. Beth Mullins, along with Stephanie White, the head coach of the Indiana Fever. The defense quite constrictive by the Huskies there in that first half.
Absolutely. UConn came out and really set the tone with their defensive energy and effort and set that tone out of the 3-2 zone, just very active on the defensive end, and that really fueled their offensive break. Gabby Williams was really sensational in the first half in all aspects of her ball game. And Connecticut, 10 points off of turnovers, dominating in the paint, 28-12. And we talk so much about the offensive game of these Huskies. You can see that second effort right there, but the defensive energy and intensity in game 1 has already been on point.
Kelsey Mitchell and Amherst Olsen, the top scoring backcourt in the country last year, they dropped 59 points on South Carolina in their season opener a few nights ago. Held to just 3 points on 1 of 13 shooting in that first half. And the third quarter underway. The first of 20 games here on the Marathon over the course of the next 30 hours. Defending women's champ Connecticut tonight, defending men's champ Duke tomorrow night. Bo Jefferson with 15.6 of those 7 buckets were layups, and it was a struggle for Mitchell.
Yeah, Kelsey Mitchell 0 for 8, Amherst Alston 1 for 5. Those two have to find a way to get it going, and Connecticut comes back out in their zone. Ohio State started in the zone as well, and Cooper stays high.
Cooper is the player that the Buckeyes are looking for to be their third scoring option. That would be quite a trio. Amongst the contenders this year in the Big Ten Conference, they finished in 3rd place last season, advanced to the Big Ten Tournament Championship game, and then played the first couple of rounds of the NCAA tournament.
When it's really a team that surprised a lot of people last season, started out a little sluggish and then really found their rhythm. This year, there's no secret. You know, Kelsey Mitchell, one of the best in the country, and here tonight, she's got to find a way to get it going.
We have 3 of the 5 preseason All-Americans on the floor here tonight, and Stewart and Jefferson for Connecticut, and Mitchell for Ohio State. The other 2, Nina Davis and Tiffany Mitchell at South Carolina. Stewart is able to connect. Quite an impressive roster of national champion, most outstanding players. She's the first to ever get that honor 3 times. And it's a who's who of the other women that have won it a couple times. Weak side rebound, Kia Nurse.
Just not a lot of movement on the offensive end for Ohio State, and part of that is when a team comes out in the zone, a lot of times your mindset changes. You go to passing the ball around the perimeter and settling for jump shots, as opposed to doing what you do best, and that's attacking. And offensive rebounds continue for Connecticut, and that's going to be a struggle for Ohio State all season long. That's an area that they're going to have to continue to get better at.
They don't have a ton of size.
And you have to make up for that lack of size with extreme discipline on the defensive end, and they're not there yet.
And Mitchell gets the lay-in, her first bucket in her first 10 shots tonight. Look at the quick counter by Connecticut. They just do not give you any breathing room. Mitchell trying to get a couple in a row, and on the drive draws the foul on Brianna Stewart, and that will be her third personal.
UConn foul with her name, Brianna Stewart.
This is one area that Ohio State needs to try to exploit. They're a team that can get in the paint almost at will when you're playing against teams that are defending you one-on-one because of the way that Kelsey Mitchell and Amaris Alston can play off the bounce. They've got to do a good job of continuing to get to the foul line and get some easy ones.
It's on the first 4 points from Mitchell, so she is now 87 points away from 1,000. She's just starting her sophomore season and is way in front of the pace to become the quickest in Big Ten history to get to 1,000 points. The record, Kelly Mazzani at Penn State, who did it in 47 games. This is only the 37th for Mitchell.
You think about some of the great scorers that came from Ohio State. Katie Smith, one of them. Jess Davenport, Chantel Lavender, and Kelsey Mitchell just continues on that legacy.
Stewart triple team. Gino wanted a foul, doesn't get the whistle. Look at Jefferson, always pesky with those hands. Cooper, 15-footer, got it. And then a collision heading down the other end of the floor. Waterman and Stewart. Stewart has 3 personal fouls. What's the call going to be here as the officials get together? This is a veteran officiating crew. Tyna Napier, Sue Blau, Tim Daly. It's 24 white and 30 blue, and they get wrapped up going for the rebound.
Well, you can see Stewart was trying to box out and Waterman pulling her down. Not sure what the call is right here.
I think they're going to call it a double foul, so that is the 4th on Brianna Stewart. And the 2nd on Waterman. Still 6:40 to go here in the 3rd quarter.
Stewart says, okay.
I made her mad.
Let me just knock down
made her mad. Mitchell. Here's Kate Kraft. Open for 3. She's got it.
That's what a ball reversal will do for you. A ball reversal will get you a high percentage shot. Ohio State hasn't had enough of them.
This may be a warning here for the Ohio State bench.
Play a game on white.
Connecticut will finally now get a stoppage in play here to get a substitute on for Stewart, who will leave the game with 4 fouls, replaced by the freshman Nafisa Collier.
Ohio State coming with the full court pressure. They'll try to get a few turnovers, make a little run.
Now under 10. Nurse off the drive, and they're going to call an offensive foul on the screen set by Morgan Tuck.
That was the best defensive possession of the game for Ohio State. Really good communication on the screens, active on the defensive end. Good job of selling it by Kelsey Mitchell. Able to get the ball going the other way.
59-35 here in the 3rd quarter. The media timeout now is at the midway point of the 4 quarters. Start shooting free throws, all 2-shot fouls on 5 fouls per quarter, and there's another easy breakaway for Connecticut. It's been a big story for them, takeaways and layups.
Well, you have an opportunity if you're Ohio State coming off of the turnover. Now Kelsey Mitchell, 2 turnovers in a row. just trying to play too fast and really lax with the basketball. There has to be a greater sense of urgency if you're Ohio State. You want to know what it takes to be the best? It takes urgency on both ends of the floor, every possession.
Ohio State trying to turn up the heat a little bit with the pressure here. Jefferson, by the way, 8 baskets, 7 of them have been layups. She leads all scorers with 17. Cooper with 15 for Ohio State. It has been a major struggle for their backcourt of Alston and Mitchell tonight.
And Cooper's activity level has just been really good on both ends of the floor. That was great help defense, able to get a hand on the ball.
On the inbound, and it's an easy layup underneath for Gabby Williams.
Go by Gabby Williams.
Alston has it knocked away. 3-on-3. Nurse stripped by Cooper. Under 5 minutes to go here in the third quarter as Cooper brings it across. She's got 15 points tonight. Her career high is 19. Offensive rebound and the stick back. Alston's second field goal. And the whistle and the foul. We'll take the timeout with them, and we'll come back and talk a little college football playoff with Joey Galloway on the other side. Oh, the Horseshoe will be jumping on Saturday afternoon, 3:30 on ABC when Michigan State comes to town for the lead in the Big Ten East and a couple of teams with national championship aspirations. A guy who spent an awful lot of time over there was just put into the Ohio State Hall of Fame. Joey Galloway now joining us. Joey, you're going to be up in Chicago tomorrow for the reveal of the Week 3 playoff rankings. What are your thoughts on how it's going to look like when it comes out tomorrow?
This one is crazy. 6, 7, 9, 10 all lose. I'm sure you're happy about your Notre Dame team. They will be at number 4 coming up. Iowa will be number 5. In my opinion, Ohio State's still the best team in the country. Hadn't played like it, but they know the talent that is there because it was there last season. Clemson looking pretty scary with Deshaun Watson, and then Alabama. I don't know anybody that wants to play Alabama right now. The way they're playing. And then Notre Dame coming in at number 4. How impressive have they been dealing with the amount of injuries that they've dealt with, quarterback, couple running backs, and they still continue to roll.
Connecticut and Ohio State here in the tip-off marathon. We'll find out the new playoff rankings during the doubleheader tomorrow night to conclude the marathon in Chicago. As the Buckeyes get one to drop. What are your thoughts on what's going to go down? College game day is going to be in town as well on Saturday morning. And what's going to go down over at the Shoe as Jefferson scores?
This will be the first time we'll see the Buckeyes have to step their game up to win. They can't play the way they've played the past few weeks and expect to beat Michigan State. Michigan State will be pumped up. They created 5 turnovers last week. Defensively, they've struggled this season, but they'll be ready. So this will finally be a sort of backloaded season for the Ohio State Buckeyes with Michigan State and then Michigan next, and then possibly if they win those 2, seeing Iowa. So we'll find out what the Buckeyes are in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Morgan Tuck gets the jumper. Courtside here in Columbus, Beth Moe and Stephanie White, and the new voice of reason in the studio this year, Joey Galloway, joining us. When you look at playoff teams and make your selections and seed them, what are some of the things that are most important to you?
I don't go by the resumes in the middle of the season. You know, I just watch the film and I figure out who do I think would win if these 2 teams lined up and played. Right now, I believe that Ohio State beats Clemson, Alabama, Notre Dame. Clemson is the second best team. They're the most solid team on both sides of the ball. I think the difference between Clemson and Alabama is Deshaun Watson at quarterback. Alabama, when they run the football, when Derrick Henry gets 200 yards rushing, nobody beats them. The problem is when Derek Coker has to carry them offensively, that's when they're vulnerable, and we'll see what they are. But right now, I just like watching the film and seeing how these teams play and deciding who I think is the best team if they played on a neutral site.
Trouble here for Ohio State as Shayla Cooper has now picked up her 4th personal foul. You think the committee will be in agreement with you, or what are you expecting on Tuesday night? You've got Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame, and Alabama as your 4.
Well, I think they'll have the same 4 teams. They'll have in a little different order. Clemson will still be number 1. Alabama will be number 2. Ohio State 3. And Notre Dame 4. And the biggest question is if those 4 teams win out, who's vulnerable? I mean, who can be overtaken? Oklahoma State sitting back in the Big 12, and, you know, they got a big win. Oklahoma just got a big win. Those 2 teams play. An undefeated Big 12 team will be calling Notre Dame, your team, to find out, hey, are we better than you? So Notre Dame just took the loss. Stanford lost. And for some reason,
hurt them, right?
it will hurt them, but for some reason, we've all jumped on this Stanford's out. Stanford will still be a top 15 team when Notre Dame plays them. So it'll be on their resume if they win. I do believe that if Notre Dame wins out, regardless of what Oklahoma State and Oklahoma do, if Notre Dame wins out, I believe they'll be in.
As Collier toes the stripe, probably to no one's surprise, UConn is number 1 right now in the collegiate rankings. What do you appreciate about a team that tries to pursue perfection, and they've got a chance to make history? No senior class has ever won 4 college basketball national championships.
Yeah, make no mistake about it. I'm a Buckeye fan, and I'm here tonight rooting for the Buckeyes, but this UConn team is a machine. And I've never seen a basketball team play with the...
Is that good?
That they play with. You can't make a mistake. If you make a mistake, not only do they take the ball, but they scored on the other end. So, I mean, you look at the score, Ohio State has made too many mistakes tonight, and UConn has made them pay.
They certainly do make you pay. I think that's one of the things that separates Connecticut is that you have to play a 40-minute ball game of almost perfection to be able to give yourself a chance to win. You have to play both sides of the basketball. You have to be efficient, and you can't allow them to make those runs because once they smell blood, they just get after you.
And it's fun to watch. I mean, honestly, I'm not rooting for UConn, but it is fun to sit here and watch their intensity level and the way they play. All 5 people on the court are playing with a hunger that they are trying to put you away every single possession.
And a lot of times when you see these great teams, regardless of the sport, when you really have to be self-motivated every day in practice, and sometimes in games, you're competing against yourself as much as your opponent. They continue to come through with efforts like this. Jefferson, first jump, pulls up and hits.
She said she worked on that mid-range jumper. She didn't want to just be at the rim or 3-point line.
She came in with Galloway-like quickness.
Easy,
that to the table.
Don't get carried away. But you know, the scary part about UConn, there's no weak link. Like if defensively you wanted to find the weak link in this team, I don't know how you find it. You know, in football, you know, a team either runs well or they pass well, and you try to take away that best thing. When you look at UConn, I don't see a weak link. Like, where do you make them pay at either side of the court?
That was a personal foul on Mariah Jefferson, her first. You've got 2 first-team All-Americans, a second-team All-American, high school All-Americans joining your program. Both of these clubs, by the way, got huge pickups on the recruiting trail this week. Crystal Dangerfield for Connecticut, their point guard of the future, and Tori McCoy just this afternoon, a 6'4" forward from Illinois, committed to the Buckeyes. So they will have probably a top 10 recruiting class next year, and they will add their 2 transfers, Stephanie Mavunga from North Carolina and Sierra Calhoun from Duke, who will be eligible next year.
Well, Shayla Cooper, who was eligible in December last season, was a transfer as well. Kiana Holland was a transfer. I mean, Kevin McGuff has really rebuilt this team and rebuilt this program by bringing in transfers, by getting great recruiting classes like Kelsey Mitchell and continuing to put themselves in a position. He said, you know what, we want to play the top teams in the country. That's what players want to do. And in order for us to find out how hard it is to get there, how hard we have to work to get there, our players need to play them to realize that.
They'll play Notre Dame, they'll play Maryland this year, all 4 Final Four teams on their roster. Jefferson, sweet move in the kick out. That one won't go. What did you love about playing in these types of environments against the best, Joey?
You know what? The thing that we talked about with their intensity level, when you have players behind you on the bench that are talented, that are All-American caliber, it raises your game, and you know that everything you do has to be at your best because there's a guy or a girl behind you that is just as good and can take your spot. And that's what, you know, these top-level teams have developed, the ability to have All-Americans on the bench, so the people that are on the court know that they have to bring their A game every single day.
That is going to be the 5th personal foul on Alexa Hart, the 6'3" sophomore from right here in Columbus. So her night is done. 1:18 to go here in the 3rd quarter. And Joey, we want to thank you for spending a few minutes with us. Joey Galloway, the freshly minted Ohio State Hall of Famer. You're off to Chicago tomorrow night to reveal the college football playoff rankings between games of the State Farm Champions Classic.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun. I missed that voice. It's been, I'm in studio now. I don't get to hear your voice like I did every Saturday for the past few years.
I wish I could say the same. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Second for UConn, Yabi Williams. Replacing Morgan Tuck.
Beth Bowens and Stephanie White, the head coach of the Eastern Conference champion, Indiana Fever. UConn Huskies, maybe with the top 2 picks in next year's WNBA draft. Mariah Jefferson, Brianna Stewart. Jefferson might have gotten poked in the eye there on the follow-through of that shot. Seems to be okay. And then Jefferson's going to be called for bodying up. Good news is we are just underway. The tip-off marathon still with 19 more games to go, including 13 top 25 teams. Over the course of the next 31 hours, so we'll be going to places like Utah and Hawaii and breakfasts at East Tennessee State and Northern Iowa tomorrow morning as we take you through the overnight. Ben Simmons, if you haven't seen him yet, the LSU freshman, they'll be playing Kennesaw State at 9 o'clock tonight on ESPNU. And of course, tomorrow night, Kentucky Duke, Georgetown, Maryland, Kansas, Michigan State, all on the slate.
A full slate. It's your fix. It's that time of the year. Exciting times.
Also look at what Ben did in his debut there on Friday night against McNeese State. Nothing but a double-double for him.
Yeah, look at those numbers. I don't think it'll be too long before we'll start seeing triple-doubles. Stat stuffers.
That's at 9 o'clock on ESPNU tonight. Malcolm Brogdon and Virginia are on deck. Next up here against GW. On the drive, and it's stripped away by Collier. 3-on-1, and Collier lost the handle. Nice touch by Ohio State.
And another missed opportunity by Ohio State. It's a loose ball. You have to be able to come up with that ball right there. Got to give yourself multiple possessions. Ohio State just hasn't really handled the ball cleanly most of the night. And you have to give credit to the Connecticut defense for that, but also a little bit lax. A little bit of intensity lost, I feel like, from the South Carolina game to here tonight against Connecticut for Ohio State.
An adjustment to perhaps being in these kind of big game environments are new to most of these Buckeye players, and something they'll learn from and get better because of it. Mitchell will heave. Mitchell and Alston on the night. It's been a struggle. They are a combined 4 for 21. A dominant performance by the Husky D as the tip-off marathon is underway. To the 4th quarter we go. Let's come back. You're watching hour number 2 of ESPN's Tip-Off Marathon, presented by Constant Contact. Hour 2 of 31 over the course of this Monday and Tuesday. And it is our pleasure to be the lead leg. Beth Bowens and Stephanie White here at Value City Arena in Columbus, Ohio, and an impressive start, the season opener for the UConn Huskies. The 3-time defending champs, been doing it on both ends of the floor. 21 points for Mariah Jefferson to lead the way. 15 for Brianna Stewart. And they've been able to lock down the big scorers for Ohio State. Kelsey Mitchell with just 8 points. Amarist Alston with 5.
Brianna Stewart on the bench with those 4 fouls, and she's getting a little fidgety over there. You can tell she wants to get back on the floor.
That 4th personal foul was a double foul after getting tied up with one of the Buckeyes. Morgan Tuck rolls and scores. Stewart did not foul out, by the way, in a game last season. She's rarely been in trouble in her career. And the 3-pointer there from Kiana Holland.
3-point goal,
Ohio State
Kiana
coming
Holland.
with the pressure right there. A much better offensive possession for Ohio State, getting that penetrating and kicking. I mean, one of the things that sometimes tends to happen when you want to play fast is you get very tunnel vision. You're not able to see what the defense is giving you, and that's happened at times for Ohio State. But again, Ohio State's growth has to be on the defensive end of the floor. They have to become a better defensive team, and you have to value playing on the defensive end of the floor. And when this team continues to grow and get better in that area, that's when you're going to start seeing the national championship type of culture, a national championship type of climate.
You can outscore a lot of people and you can get to the Sweet 16, but if you're going to get past those Elite 8 teams and get to the Final Four in Indianapolis, you're going to have to do some damage on the defensive end and get some big stops. And that's the evolution of this Buckeye program and a lot of these young Buckeye players. You have a huge night like she did on Friday, 36 points. And right now she is flirting with her career low, which was 13 at Michigan last January. Tonight, so far, just the 8 points.
And has really been out of sync. Hasn't taken care of the ball. We haven't seen her attacking the rim and feeling very comfortable on the offensive end of the floor.
Backdoor, Samuelson. Pass just out of her reach. Alston gets the handoff. Stewart stepping out to defend. Samuelson with the rebound. Kia Nurse.
3-point goal, Kia Nurse.
When Gino talked to us and shoot around today, and he said, you know, we're just a different team when Kia Nurse is knocking down shots. He said she's the toughest, one of the toughest competitors I've ever seen. She plays so hard. She's just, competitiveness is in her blood. And when she starts knocking down shots for us, we're a completely different team.
And here is Nurse leading the charge the other way. He is just a sophomore. Really boosted by a terrific summer with the Canadian national team. Stewart. Fouled on the shot, and it goes.
Basket good.
Stewart's hit that little one dribble pull up a couple of times in this ball game. You have to be up there. You can't allow her to get time and space because she can just elevate and shoot right over the top of you. And that one finishing with the contact.
How about the skill set for Stewart? One of a kind.
It absolutely is so unique, her athleticism. And when you look at the comparison to Lauren Jackson, because of her size and skill set, but she's much more athletic. Yeah. And you can usually see the size and athleticism or the size and skill set. You don't usually see all three. And Stewart, you know, has the potential to be one of the greatest that's ever played this game. There's no question about it.
Alston spinning a lane. Gino was telling us a story today about there was one sequence, back-to-back plays in a recent practice. She can touch 11 feet, by the way. Said she was up by the rim and literally had her elbow up there and dropped in a rebound stick back. And then the next trip down the floor, she's hitting a step-back 24-footer. And there just isn't anybody that has that kind of skill set.
No. You might have one that can do one and one that can do another one that can do a different, but not one that can do them both. And that's what makes her so unique.
I think the other thing, too, and you've been around players like this, and you were one of the players like this, winning a national championship at Purdue, but she loves those big moments. You see some players, they step away. They don't want to be out front and in the spotlight. And she, from a very young age, has loved those moments.
You think about her freshman season, and everybody else, Stewart's not making the adjustment as quickly as everybody would have thought. And then you get into the NCAA tournament, and she's exceptional. And she just basked in that moment. She flourished in that moment. And every year she's gotten better. And every year when it comes tournament time, she goes to another level.
Found herself all alone on the wing, and off the dribble drive, Brianna Stewart. Now with 20 points to go along with 8 rebounds and 4 assists. Kate Kraft looking for 3, no good. And now Stewart running the floor out on the break. Tries to save it for a teammate. Mitchell got out of control along the baseline. How about Brianna Stewart as a youngster? I think we must have gotten in touch with mom and dad here. Growing up in central New York. Showing us glimpses of a very bright future. 2-time Associated Press National Player of the Year. Last season, she won the Wade Trophy. Nothing really speaks to greatness quite like winning championships, and she's got 3 of them already on the resume.
And has been very vocal about wanting to get 4. 4 in 4 years.
Diana Taurasi had 3 of them, and she wants to go ahead and extend that. National championships for Gino Ariana and the Huskies in the last 20 years. Since the Lobo and Rosati days in the mid-90s and that first title in '95, how far they have come. Under 5 to play.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Constant Contact, helping small businesses and nonprofits become marketers.
The night lights on the Olentangy here in Columbus. It's been a big season opener for the UConn Huskies, #1 in the country, on top of the Buckeyes. 4:53 to go here in the 4th quarter. 19 points off of 15 turnovers for Connecticut. And both Brianna Stewart and Mariah Jefferson with 20-point outings. Huskies looking very impressive in their debut.
It almost looks like Connecticut is the team that has 1 game under their belt already. They really do look so good on both ends of the floor.
Stewart trying to clean it up. Draws the foul. Well, tonight after Monday Night Football, the Texans and Bengals keep it locked into Sports Center at night with the one and only Scott Van Pelt. SVP's got the post-game wrap-up. Plus, he'll bring you his one big thing at Sports Center at night after Monday Night Football on ESPN and streaming live on Watch ESPN. Kate Kraft was whistled for the foul there. That is her first. Huskies with a schedule that will include a matchup with Notre Dame at the Jimmy V Classic on December 5th. They'll also face Maryland in the Maggie Dixon Classic, and a matchup with Florida State, one of the leading contenders in the ACC. And then mark your calendars there, February 8th at South Carolina. And can the Gamecocks get even better than they were a year ago? They went to their first Final Four.
You think about South Carolina and the experience not only that they got in the regular season playing against Connecticut, but then getting to the Final Four, really getting your feet wet, understanding what it takes. I think having that experience already gives them an edge. You look at South Carolina and Notre Dame, having that experience gives them an edge in terms of knowing what it takes. So now you've seen them, you've been there, Now you have to play 40 minutes of very good basketball, 40 minutes of efficient basketball in order to put yourself in a position to beat Connecticut.
Rebounded by Gabby Williams. She has looked strong in her starting lineup debut here tonight.
I think she's looked really good, and you can tell she's worked on her game on the offensive end of the floor. She looks much more comfortable and in a rhythm and in a flow.
And to reiterate what Coach Ariema told us at shoot-around today, Gabby may be the best athlete that they've had in his 3 decades at Connecticut.
And that's saying something. He's had some pretty darn good athletes.
And for UConn,
One of the things that Jefferson and Stewart told us this afternoon was that one of their big jobs here early on is to get the younger players and the newcomers like Williams to gel quickly and make that seamless transition whenever a youngster comes in off the bench, that things don't take a step down. Williams stepping into the passing lane.
She's going to consistently be a stat stuffer. I mean, just as how active she is on the defensive end of the floor, she's going to get herself some steals. She's quick to the ball, has a nose for the ball, can leap out of the gym, so she's going to get her boards. And now her increased scoring makes her an efficient threat on the offensive end of the floor as well. I mean, you're going to see some big games from Gabby Williams this season.
Last bucket, by the way. Williams now with 10 points. 5 players in double figures tonight for Connecticut. And that would be their entire starting lineup. They have, in a lot of ways, just outworked the Buckeyes, particularly on the glass. Kevin McGuff is not going to like the rebounding numbers on the final stat sheet.
The reboundings, the carelessness on the offensive end of the floor. I mean, Connecticut comes out and they surprise Ohio State by playing zone. And it really threw off Ohio State's rhythm on the offensive end of the floor for the entire ball game. And from that point on, they've dictated on both ends of the floor, been the aggressor on both ends.
They are plus 18 on the glass and plus 42 on the scoreboard. 2:03 to go.
I'm Chris Hassel in the studio. Our tip-off marathon continues in minutes. Anthony Gill and the 2-time defending ACC regular season champion Virginia team on the road at GW.
Well, back here in Columbus, and the steal and layup for the Buckeyes. Final 2 minutes in the season opener for Connecticut. Ohio State is going to fall to 0-2, but that would be against the top 2 ranked teams in the country in UConn and South Carolina. They lost to South Carolina 88-80 the other night, and a little different story here against the Huskies, who are working on handing the Buckeyes their worst home loss in school history. As we start the tip-off marathon, we are building up towards the State Farm Champions Classic tomorrow night, a doubleheader. Kentucky-Duke at 7:30, followed by Kansas and Michigan State. Coverage will begin at 7 on ESPN and also streaming live on Watch ESPN. Between games of that doubleheader, we will also witness Week 3 of the college football playoff rankings. They will be unveiled up in Chicago. Drive and the layup is good for Asia Doss.
Well, I think if you're Kevin McGuff, you get a chance to go look at the film, watch with your team. You know, the biggest thing that would concern me, if I'm him, is the energy level of this team. The difference in the energy level between the South Carolina game and here. The body language, those kind of things that you can control, your effort level. And then you say, this is where we got to be. This is how we have to get better. You use these games as a measuring stick to see where you are and see what you need to work on.
It will be a new career low in terms of points for Kelsey Mitchell, held to just 8 points tonight. The backcourt tandem of Mitchell and Alston were just 5 for 27 here this evening. So a tough one to take short term, but long term, well, they'll have the opportunity to watch this tape and chat with their coaching staff and come to an understanding about what it's going to take to do a little bit better the next time around if they face the Huskies down the road. There are going to be a lot of opponents that will struggle to score against this Connecticut defense. And a reminder that the Virginia men are coming up next against George Washington. Tony Bennett's club coming off a 30-win season a year ago and a second consecutive ACC regular season title. Rebound tracked down by Courtney Eckmark, sophomore out of Phoenix, who's out there. As well as Tierney Lawler, Brianna Polito off the Connecticut bench.
Well, it certainly is a long season, but Connecticut, I think, has made a statement already in that quest for an unprecedented 4 national championships, the way they came out and really dictated from the beginning.
2 from Tierney Lawler. And Lawler knocks it down. Final seconds as UConn hits 100. And they go on the road and open up their season with a win against Ohio State. 100-56 is the final. All 5 starters for Connecticut in double figures, led by Brianna Stewart with 24 and Mariah Jefferson with 21 points tonight. And it was the defense that got things rolling, and that led to a lot of layups for the Huskies, and Mariah Jefferson, the beneficiary. She was 10 for 15, and most of those were from a foot away. Utilizing that speed and quickness to get to the basket. That defense really cranked things up. They were able to force 17 turnovers, scored 23 points off of those takeaways. They dominated on the glass, finishing plus 21 rather on the boards, and so they are on their way, underway, trying to win an unprecedented 4th consecutive national championship. Those are the previous 3-peats, including the Huskies back in 2002 to 2004, and then this current bunch. Quite a night for UConn. They win their 38th game in a row and start out the season 1-0. The Buckeyes will fall to 0-2. Brianna Stewart, despite the fact that she was hampered by a 4th personal foul in the second half, was able to still crank it up. She led all scorers with 24, also had 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 4 blocked shots on the night, as they hand the Buckeyes their worst home loss. And now let's get you back to the studio. Chris Hassel.
Beth, Stephanie, thank you very much. Of course, UConn gets off on the right foot. Coming up next, right here on ESPN2, Malcolm Brogdon, the preseason ACC co-player of the year, and the 2-time defending ACC champion Virginia Cavaliers take on George Washington. That is one of the games on tonight's schedule. Our tip-off marathon got going a couple hours ago with the UConn women, and it will go all through the night, all the way into the wee hours of the morning. Good one between Baylor and Oregon coming up on ESPN2 at 11:30 as well. Also part of our tip-off marathon, Florida State and Florida. In women's basketball, Rebecca Lobo is with me. I'm Chris Hassel. This is our college basketball live scoreboard. Rebecca, right from the get-go, you knew Florida was in it to play and win.
Both of these teams have turned the ball over a lot. Florida State staying in it by getting to the offensive glass. That's what they do, get out and transition and run. Amanda Butler in Florida, 12 players have played. They continue to apply the pressure on the defensive end.
Now, they were down double digits for much of the game, but the crowd was in it. And nice bounce from Carly Needles. And Florida will actually take the lead with about 8 minutes to go. DeAndrea Anderson there. And the Gators have a 5-point lead with 4.5 minutes to go. That one going on right now over on SEC Network. We'll let you look into that one live in just a little bit here, if we can, here on ESPN2. With Rebecca Lobo, I'm Chris Hassel. The UConn ladies, I mean, that was the largest win for the UConn women over a top 10 team in the last 10 seasons, Rebecca.
Yeah, for their first game out, to play the way they did on both ends of the floor, picking up right where they left off at the end of last season. You can tell this is a team that has a lot of experience. Mariah Jefferson, Breanna Stewart, Morgan Tuck are the leaders of this team. They know how to get it done. This is a team on a mission. Talked about it at the half. Coach Auriemma, the first day of practice, told those players, you have a chance to do something no one's ever done before, and that's win 4 national championships. They're on a mission right now.
Perhaps fitting that they won by 44 points on opening night as they go for a 4-peat. Let's go by the numbers on the UConn women's basketball team. The first number is 3. Their number of consecutive championships, looking to become the first team in Division I women's basketball history to win 4 straight. So that's 3. Our next number is actually 4. The number of starters the Huskies have returning, that's scary, equivalent to 79% of their scoring from a year ago, led by preseason All-America Breanna Stewart. They lost to Lena Mosqueda-Lewis. A huge loss, but they still returned 4 of the best. The next number is 20, as in consecutive season opening wins since 1995. UConn 27-4 in season openers under Gino Auriemma, won today to up the number of consecutive wins to 38. 4th longest win streak in program history. Long way ago to reach that mark of 90 straight wins, snapped 4 years ago. Rebecca, it's now going to be over a year since UConn's last loss. It was 364 days ago they lost on the road to Stanford. Can this team be better than last season's national championship team?
I think it can be. I mean, it's tough because you lose probably the best three-point shooter in the history of women's college basketball in Lena Mosqueda-Lewis, but you bring the other 4 players back, and the other 4 players have gotten better. So this is a group that is just really focused. They've improved. Mariah Jefferson has become the best point guard in women's college basketball. Breanna Stewart is the best all-around player. Morgan Tuck did so many things, especially in the latter part of the last season. It's continued here. This is a team, if they stay healthy, and that's always a huge if they stay healthy, they could be one of the best teams in the history of the game.
Oh, boy, and that is saying something with all those great teams that UConn has had over the years that you have been a part of as well, Rebecca. Stephanie White said they could have the top 2 picks in the WNBA draft. She spoke with one of them moments ago, Mariah Jefferson.
Mariah, talk about how fun that was. You come on the road in a tough environment for game 1. How impressed are you with your team's performance?
I'm super impressed. Their fans were really loud and excited the entire game, and it made for a fun game. We came out composed, and we did that from start to finish.
Coach talked about this team has the potential to be even better defensively than last season. You showed that tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Gabby Williams did a great job up front with me, getting our arms up and getting some tips, and I think that really helped us out in our transition game.
It seemed like every shot you got was a layup. How were you able to get through the defense so easily?
I just tried to put my head down and go in there. I knew if I missed it that my big guys would come in and rebound for me, so just being aggressive and trying to get to the rim.
One of the keys for your team has always been a balanced offensive effort. How have you guys been able to bring along your young players so quickly in this season?
I think the way we practice so hard and intense that they have to kind of pick up quick. By the time the season starts, your freshman year, seems like it's halfway over, so.
Game 1 in a quest for an unprecedented 4 straight national championships. What's it going to take to continue this?
A lot of hard work and a lot of effort from everybody, and I think this was a great way to start it off.
All right, congratulations. Thank you.